You guys shouldn't know it's a talk show.
Here, do you want to go back and forth? You go first, and then I go, and then you go, and then I go. I guess the question.
Okay.
Okay.
The same thing. Same question.
Who's first?
That's on the paper.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Start. To what extent is it ethical for humans to genetically exploit a species?
Oh man, see, you said it was going to be all like nothing. You know, it's a difficult question to answer because it depends on what you're specifically referring to, and it's always the question of does the ends justify the means? And so, are we talking about genetically modified foods, or are we talking about genetic modification as it relates to curing diseases, or what? I think the way that you answer that question is different depending on the situation. To me, I don't think you can have just one answer to that question. I think that it's a case-by-case basis. I just took the easy way out, didn't I? Yeah.
For the example of like corn, it's not like it's just a plant. So when you
right. So to me, genetic modification as it relates to corn, as it relates to plants, I think can be a good thing, and I think that it is acceptable to some degree, but scientists and those that are working in that industry have to be real careful with what they're doing. I do have an issue with, in some cases, to where like there's companies that have basically a patent on a living thing. Like if they put a particular, maybe it's a pesticide resistant or a herbicide resistant gene into a plant, they actually have a patent on that plant. I think that's a little bit weird. But to me, as an individual, I don't have a problem with it. I can understand where some people are kind of, when you're looking at a situation like looking at food versus curing diseases, to where they have kind of a different point of view. That's not answering the question, but that's the...
Is it okay to kill off organisms for the economic benefit of the human race?
To kill off organisms for the give me an example. I need an example.
Like, do you have an example?
Well, if it would, for example, for pesticides, you can kill off like a bunch of species, but it also saves the economy like billions of dollars.
And then also like deforestation, you can consider killing off organisms for like the benefit of economic, like
right.
for cattle and kind of things.
You know, when you just say kill off organisms, I'm gonna say no if you're looking at strictly an economic benefit. You know, there is to some degree a disconnect sometimes where we don't realize our connection with nature and how much nature provides for us. And so in some cases we don't know what some of those organisms can provide for us. If you're looking at the question of killing off organisms for a solely economic benefit, I have an issue with that, for sure.
So at what point would it be like okay to do that?
You know, I look at scenarios where we're talking about human health and saving human lives. I think there's definitely, like, I'm very much an advocate for nature and for understanding our connection to nature, but I also understand that in some cases there is a means to an ends where things wouldn't work out so good for an animal if it might mean saving human lives. I think that might be a different scenario.
So is it different for like, do you think humans have more priority over other organisms?
I do sometimes, yeah. yeah. And it's a difficult question because it's always a case-by-case thing with me because I definitely understand and appreciate our connection to nature, but I understand that in some cases that we have to use nature to benefit us. As long as we are doing that in a way that is respectful and that is ethical, I think that it's is something that can be done. I don't know. I don't know if it's necessarily a situation where our role is that we have dominion over all animals and, over nature. That's not necessarily our role for sure, but I do understand that there's circumstances where, given choice A or choice B, that it would make more sense sometimes to go to choice A if it means saving human lives. And TOK. So
Yeah, they're really broad.
No, it's just, I can't. I'm just very kind of straightforward. It's hard to, yeah.
To what extent can we lower the genetic biodiversity of an environment for our own benefit? Like with regards to deforestation.
Okay. To what extent? So what is a type of response that would answer a to what extent question? So a large amount, a small amount. Is that what I'm saying?
Like in what circumstances?
In what circumstances? So we are lowering biodiversity. Read it. Tell me. Say it again.
To what extent can we lower the genetic biodiversity of the environment for our own benefit? Like going back to the corn example,
Yeah, there's definitely there's a balance because we are obviously we're a part of nature. We're a part of the food web. We're a part of ecosystems, and it's kind of like a house of cards kind of thing. And so we are a part of that house of cards, and we start removing organisms. An organism here, an organism there. It may not completely crumble, but if we're removing a lot of organisms, there's going to be a point in time where ecosystem stability is going to crash. So I don't know how that answers the question. I'd say, to some extent, I think it could, but you always have to understand and realize our connection with where we fit in. We're not separate from nature, for sure.
do you think it's okay to engineer a new species from an already existing species rather than take away an existing species?
Tracy McGee, please stop your sound.
Okay, so say it again. So, okay, go ahead.
To create a genetically identical species from one species, like how all the commercial bananas are identical.
Okay.
Instead of taking away species to lower biodiversity. Can we add to the?
I guess so. You are saying adding genetic diversity to an already existing species?
Well, more like creating an organism that has no chance to survive except that we make it survive because it's completely identical and it serves only for us.
Right. I think I have a hard time to some degree with the idea of creating life, creating living organisms. And I think it's got to be a situation of what's the purpose for the mere fact of what is the end result? What is the purpose of that? I think you'd have to look at. I don't know for sure.
So just for corn and bananas, would you say that that's not necessary?
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah.
How do we know that all of this exploiting isn't natural? Because humans are part of nature, so who's to say that because we're a part of nature, what we're doing isn't natural?
Maybe this is a part of our evolutionary process. Is that? Yeah. I think we as humans have a general sense of what is natural, what is a part of nature that would be there without us, and I think when we're messing with and altering genes, I wouldn't consider that a natural process.
So are you saying that humans in a way are disconnected from nature?
Yeah, I guess in that sense, a little bit. To some degree. I'm like a politician, I guess. Too good, yeah.
Thank you very much.
All right. I don't know if I answered that well.